And we're live.
Welcome, viewers, podcast listeners. This is very ASMR that I've got going on now. It's really close and intimate to the mic. Lee's given me the go ahead to extend this intro, so it's going to be a sultry, sexy intro. You're here. It's Fret Talk versus Pedalboards of Doom live. You're here with your host. It's me, Mr. Budget Pedal Chap. Say hi, me. Hello. You're here with Lee. Pedal. Say hi, Lee.
Hi, everyone. Woo! Look, I found my shirt.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Okay. We're also here with a special guest today. It's Mr. John Tron Davidson of the Heavy Repping channel, Instagram. Just the Plectrums. Hello.
Yes, indeed.
The Plectrums.
Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening, everyone. Yes, the Plectrums.
I love that.
You're here all
That's it. Yeah. Get buckled in. You are about to know what the Plectrums is all about. So before we do the podcast formal, let's just ask how we all are, because I mean it's some trying times at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, I should say so. You go first, mate, because I'm just loading up all the comments so we can reply to people.
It's typical Lee. Oh, we've got Bimson's watching. We got okay. Yeah, I'm fine. Generally all right. I mean, it's a little bit boring seeing the same four walls again and again, but you know, it could be worse.
I'm loving it. I've got to be honest. I am. I'm about the only person I know who's actually enjoying it, but I am. I spend so much time away from my family, so much time on the road, and it's a chance to be with my family, get work done, play guitar. I managed to finish my board this week, make music. Oh, it's heaven.
I mean, you need to tell me some of your secrets, because I have played the least amount of guitar I have played in probably a good 2 years in this time.
Really?
Yeah. And we're not in dissimilar situations. In fact, you've got more children than I do. And I'm finding the whole, being an all-encompassing parent, teacher, all of this homeschool education lark. I'm finding that I get no bloody time to myself.
If you wonder what I'm doing, people have looked at our friend John Cusack of Cusack Music over in the States. I've got a funny feeling he's the man who invented the tap tempo as well. He said fight, because it's Fret Talk versus Pedalboards of Doom. So come on in. Let's have you.
Oh, okay. Come okay.
Other way, you fool.
Stop it. This is incredibly good for the podcast listeners later on.
Yeah.
These visual gags are exquisite.
If you want to see, imagine if claps didn't have claws and they were fighting without claws.
Yeah, it only gets funnier when you describe it.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So you've not been playing. Okay. So one of the things I've been doing, I've been putting my kids to bed a lot more, because I'm often out when they go to bed.
Yeah. It's 3:00 in the afternoon. I spend time with kids. Yeah.
But I've been like learning songs to play for my daughter. So I mentioned last time I did Somewhere Over the Rainbow and learnt like the jazzy Clapton-y version, and that was pretty cool. So yeah, I'm just like learning songs for her. I did over Christmas as well. I learned how to play Jingle Bells Rock for her, because she really fell in love with the song. So, you know, just little things like that, mixing it all in.
Yeah, my son is he is to my guitar playing as cats are to objects on the side. So he likes to think that he's getting involved, but it does not work out too well. So I tend to leave the guitar playing until I am actually alone. Otherwise, it's a case where he'll just kind of slap at the strings.
What about you, John? Have you played much?
Yeah, I've been. It's been really good actually, because in high contrast. But I
Rub it in. Go on.
Well, I work at Manson's down here, right? So
Yeah.
I've been off work for a while because we've just been operating like a mail order service for the most part, and I've actually had a chance to, rather than squeezing in heavy repping around work, and I do a weekly radio show as well on a radio station down here called Phonic FM. So rather than trying to squeeze everything around that, I've actually found the time to play, and I've gone back to doing. I used to do loads and loads of looping stuff, so I finally settled on a board and got my looper out and actually done some things. I'm still learning. I switched over to playing Dadgad as my main tuning.
All right, okay.
Last year.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And I'm still. It's amazing. You just change 3 strings down a tone, and suddenly you don't know where anything is. So it's kind of relearning. It's like the first time somebody hands you a 7.
I played.
And you have that.
Played
All
an
you have is that one extra string. You're like, wandering about the dark.
Yeah, I need an adult.
It does throw you off.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the player Martin Simpson?
The name rings a bell. Yeah.
He's an acoustic player, but he plays in loads and loads of different tunings, and what he does is on the fly he'll change the tunings going through. Years ago, about 15 years ago, I went to a masterclass watching him play, and it was just absolutely mind blowing. Just watching him, and he was talking us through what he was doing. He was like, and if you go up a tone here, then you've got whatever you got, But it was really bloody good. It's just.
It's really interesting. There's guys like, John Gome's a big lad for that. Anyway, he has on the Loudon he was using. When I saw him years ago, he was playing with. I think 2 of his strings have banjo tuners rather than normal kidney beans, so you can have your sort of thing going on as part of his riffs. But changing tunings during a tune, man, that's pretty brave. That's like swapping your snare out partway through from the chorus or something.
That was the thing that really appealed to me about the robot guitars. I think it was the Fender one that first came out, and then the Gibson, the blue Gibson one came out. But I loved that, like, you could just like click your control on the guitar, and it would change. And one of the things I really wanted to do was do that whilst playing with a bit of delay on, but I never ended up getting one, unfortunately. Trombone there.
So
as long as you didn't touch your tuners, then they were all broken. And
the old Variax guitars. I always going on about the Variax, and Stuart Tate is notorious for poo-pooing them,
and everything else whilst he's at it.
Yeah, I mean, it's become like the old like self-isolation thing has been doing a number on Stuart. He's becoming a really grumpy old man.
He's not liking it at all, is he? Bless him.
It's hilarious to watch. It's like seeing him like slowly morph into Abe Simpson. It's brilliant. But the old Variaxes, like the new one, has got a tuning knob, so you literally you're in whatever, like you're in Les Paul mode, and then you just like spin it round, and I'm suddenly in Dadgad.
Yeah.
The old ones, the tuning used to be set to the preset, and on the old demo videos, there was a chap like who was like it did like these little YouTubey things to kind of explain the Variax and kind of demystify it a little bit. And he showed where he was just doing like this open string, like tapped, like left hand's tapped thing, and then he flicked between like the 5 positions on it, and it changed tunings.
Oh.
So it would be doing like arpeggios. So it's,
that's pretty hardcore.
Oh, so he was playing the same thing, and then just by switching the pickup, it was changing what he was playing.
Changing the tuning.
That's bloody lazy.
It is. It is.
Never mind your ingenuity. How lazy is that?
You imagine he's going to see Van Halen, and then he's going just playing the same thing. You'd be like, "Come on, man!"
Yeah.
The thing is, we had one of the remember the old one. Like
the old ones, the 300,
the one with no showable pickups, visible pickups.
Yeah, it just had hex pickups in the bridge, and we had one in second hand. Oh, it's got to be a couple of months ago now. And this lad came in and he said, he's a player. Do you know what I mean? Like he could play and whatever, but he said his big thing is he plays in a covers band.
Little things like that.
He's always having to switch guitars. He's always having to switch amps and blah blah. And he said, if I take this out, principally it's the tuning thing, but also being able to swap between your T style and then like a Rezo or whatever. And actually, the Sims, if you're I know the rules are different when you're doing covers, but like to not have to think about that and not have to take up extra space in the car and all the rest of it. That's,
I think when you look at pedal boards, I think half the people who have pedal boards is for the same reason, and then the other half is for experimental and creating new tones.
It's either like for functionality or there's the vanity kind of aspect as well.
We'll call it exploration rather than exploratory purposes.
My problem with the Variacs and with like contained pedal board units is the fact that it kind of deletes that excuse that you get where you're saying to the missus, "Oh yes, I definitely need this other guitar. It sounds completely different."
That's not an excuse. That's true. I want to give a shout out to Doug Christ, who I'm hoping I'm saying it right this time. And I've just noticed he's got one of my favourite pictures, which is Spock from Star Trek holding I think it was a Les Paul. I can't see it, but I could just see his tiny little picture. But I love that picture. But listeners will know I'm a big Trekkie, so that's made me happy.
Massive nerd.
Nice and long.
I can't see. I'm looking for it, but I can't see.
It's on the Pedal Boards of Doom page as opposed to the group. I've got it running. I've got us running on both of them and Fret Talk and my own personal page and Pedal Boards of Doom YouTube channel, which you should all subscribe to. Woo! Everyone subscribe to it.
What are we subscribing to now? Sorry, what?
Everything.
Okay, brilliant.
Subscribe to everything on YouTube. Save yourself the time.
That's it, and then you won't miss out on anything. Or you'll miss out on everything.
Yeah. Oh man, I just need to make sure our levels are all good. I hope if our levels are out at all, someone gives a heads up. If they're all good, give us a thumbs up on that. Okay, so I did earlier on. You were asking what we've been up to. Is that all you've been up to then? You've just been staring at walls and not playing guitar?
Is that all you've been up to?
Ain't much, is
you
it?
You lazy git.
Oh, hi Terry. How you doing, man?
You got away with words, Ali.
I have. Not very good for it. Wait. Have you been up to anything else?
Who's this aimed at, Lee? Is it me? Is it John?
You, mate. You.
Oh, me. I've not even been through what we've been up to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I mean, shows how much attention you've been paying.
You said I've been sitting here staring at 4 walls and not playing guitar.
Oh, okay, maybe I've not been paying attention. Oh, I mean, I've managed to squeeze out the weekly no talkable tone, which I did like a little poll on my Instagram, and the outright winner was a pedal that I made. Oddly enough, it was a Naga Viper clone, and it had a picture of a chili on the front. And because it looked kind of cool, people were like, "Yes, do that one."
Well done, mate. Well done.
So I plugged it in, I plugged it in, and then I was getting no sound, so I was like, "Oh, I'll check the cables, go through all of this." After about half hour's worth of troubleshooting, the time it would have taken me to record this video, I realised actually pedals fuckers, isn't it? So yeah, I need to open that up again and see what's going on with that.
I retract my well done, mate.
It worked last time I tried it, honestly. And I'm putting a like a disclaimer and an apology out to anyone I've sold pedals to before. If that is the case, shit, my bad. Because I was trying to find a Planet Wave string winder and cutter, because in the last podcast we mentioned I'd changed the nut on this guitar. I didn't find that. However, I found this this crazy little Rowan fuzz in one of my gig bags, and I thought, okay, I remember this sounding really bad. That will be ideal for a no-talk all tone. Plug this in. This didn't work either.
I see a theme.
All that build up.
Yeah.
So, like, the chili boost, I wiggled around and got kind of crackling. That thing just completely unresponsive. So I went to go for a pedal that I knew worked, which was the Hotone Hot One. That just completely Hot Tone, I think they call them actually, but it's Hotone, so it's Hotone. Their blues pedal, which is essentially it's like a two version drive pedal. The first version is your standard BD2, which controversially I weren't a fan of the original. I know. Reason being is like the design is really old. There's noise on the gain, and for the amount of gain that it's kicking out, I thought this is unacceptable by today's standards. The Hotone version has all the gain but none of the noise, so win-win. But it's got a mod switch, which
the heavy wrapping.
It's a tiny little push button rather than like a toggle switch, which is slightly problematic because the pedal's so small in and of itself. You're not entirely sure if you've pressed the button in or not. So let's just. But when I managed to, because you see on the video where I'm jabbing at it a couple of times.
You made a video. All right, fair enough.
But the mod mode on it is apparently based on the Keeley mods for the BD too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So a bit more bass, a bit more gain as well.
Okay.
And yeah, so considering they're pretty cheap pedals, I was really impressed with it. And it's the smallest pedal you will ever try.
I don't think that's actually
It's even
true.
smaller than those old Gaiatone things, eh?
Yeah. I mean, it's about from top to bottom, because it's one of the controls is like a knob that sits on the top of it, and from the top of the knob, we're getting into dicey territory. On the top of the knob, like right from the bell, then right to the bottom of it, it's about 2/3 the size of a Moore pedal.
Oh, really? I thought you were talking about the one you flashed up a second ago. Of course not.
Yeah. However, the issue comes. I mean, the same kind of thing that you get with the 1598 pedals, which is you're not really saving any space because the jack inputs are on the side, so you're losing the space there. But the DC jack is right by where the output jack is as well.
Yeah.
So all the space that you would be saving, you're losing through like the placement.
I really think like the standard MXR size pedals with top mounted jacks is the way that everyone should do it, because you save the most room that way, and you still have knobs that you can really get hold of, rather than those tiny little things that you get on whatchamacallit, so on the Moore pedals and that sort of thing.
Oh yeah, like these little mini toggle things.
Yeah.
So,
those are kind of almost set and forget ones rather than having like sort of mini MXR jobs.
See, I love that pedal, right? But if I switch those switches in like that and like that, that's a bugger to switch them back. Because you can't. It's a great pedal, but you have to like get your pick down in there. I can just about do it if I get a nail in, but I have to hold the pedal funny.
So
yeah,
I mean, I've been thinking about the functionality of a pedal. If we made this is just like a standard MXR-ish. It's like a 1590B style.
Yeah.
If we make these deeper, you should be able to get literally front face mounting jacks.
Why would you want that?
And then get rid of your switch, because everyone uses switches these days. So get rid of that. Got plenty of space for your knobs then. You're losing no space. You can literally smack them right up against each other.
There are people who talk about making pedals for people who just have switches, but I think you would lose something in the resale. So if you've decided you wanted to sell that pedal on later, your audience then is diminished. Do you know what I mean? It's
like that. It's like that Black Arts Toneworks Oath. That's got no controls at all. It's just the ritual fuzz, but flat out with the
max it. I mean, that's the best.
It's great, but
it's the best controls for the fuzz, though, isn't it? I mean, who's getting a fuzz and then going, oh yeah, I'll put a little bit of gain on. No, you don't. You whack the whole thing entirely up.
That's it. That's how you do it. You full on gain, and maybe you can turn the volume down just a little bit.
Maybe
just a little bit.
That's it. If you're feeling particularly yellow.
Yeah. We did have some questions today because I put up a post saying, I dare you to join us on the podcast today and ask some questions, and people thought that meant ask some questions here and we'll answer them on the podcast. Fair enough. So
I mean, that comes down to the instructions there, doesn't it, really?
They were pretty straightforward. But yeah, okay. But yeah, so we've got some of them to get through in a bit. I've got some things to tell you maybe later what we've been up to, but I'm very interested to hear about John's Plectiverse. Or how did you say it? Plectriverse?
Plectriverse.
Yeah. That is a man who is not well versed in the Plectriverse, is it?
I know a lot about the multiverse.
Arms.
Say that again, sorry. I missed.
Oh, ask away.
No, go ahead. I know nothing, so I wouldn't know where to start.
Yeah, give us a little bit of an introduction to heavy rapping for those who don't know what it's all about, such as Lee. Just give us a bit of a breakdown as to what the Plectriverse is all about.
Well, the whole idea behind it is that heavy rapping started up would have been October 2018, and the whole thing was that there was nobody. I started looking at picks like Dragon Hearts and all that sort of stuff. And I started doing little mini reviews of them on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I was getting a bit of feedback about it. And I had a couple of people saying, oh, you're reviewing picks, that's really cool. And I thought, well, surely to goodness, there must be somebody else doing that somewhere else. And apart from your man, I can't remember his name, the other lad that talks about picks online, who's doing all the
second best.
Yeah, the second best Plectrum blog. But he's coming at it from a different angle. So he talks about a lot more of science and oscilloscopes, and this is what happens to your string when you hit it with a nylon pick, and it's this thickness. But my thing was I wanted to find as many different makers as I could, because there's so many. It's a bit like the pedal community. In truth, because a lot of people are deriving things from the same designs. They're deriving it from the stuff that everybody knows: Jazz 3, Jazz 3 XL, the 351, which is the traditional Dunlop teardrop and everything.
Okay.
And heavy repping covers as much as I can get my hands on of everything. So I do everything from the proper off the peg stuff like your Jazz XLs and
Here's one I made earlier.
To this is a pick ninja. It's a weird thing.
That's pretty awesome.
That's pretty cool. Check this out.
But,
what do you think of that?
That is lovely. Walnut.
What did you call me?
What?
I don't know. One of my friends who runs a guitar shop said, "Here, Lee, try this," and
and he never came back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always stick with these little jazz threes. So or the C3 versions of them, which are
the old text ones.
Old text ones, yeah.
Yeah, those.
Or the big stubbies.
No, these are the 1mm ones. I don't like the big stubby blue ones. So they're not very nice. This is a bit stubby. This is a bit thick. It's hard to see.
Thick?
Yeah, and I've not really used it much.
I've got all my really massive stuff is in my box over there. But the whole point was to find.
I can hear
there's hundreds and hundreds of guys out there making all sorts of stuff, and I get everything from. And I know this will be a bit wasted on the podcast, but you can see that there. That's Achille Nonus. They're made in the UK by a guy who makes Machiavelli guitars.
Okay.
So it's like
so got
brass in the centre.
Sixpence or something embedded into a plastic pick, is it?
It's a brass plate.
Oh, okay.
Embedded into a pick that is made of casein, which is a dairy protein. So there's people making material. There's people making from all sorts of materials. Your normal stuff is like Delrin, nylon.
Yeah.
Tortex is Delrin. Nylon is the other one. Acrylic's quite common. That's your V-Pix and Gravity and so on. And then after that, you get into things like epoxy resin.
Oh, speaking of Gravity, here we go.
There you go.
I've not tried a Gravity pick, but people go mad about them.
It's one of those things. Cross-cast, that material they use is cross-cast acrylic, which is the stuff they use to make aquariums.
Okay.
And so your man Vinny Smith at V-Pix, he was making acrylic picks like way back in the 80s. So the two big guys that started it off in the modern sense were him and Eppo Franken from Chicken Picks. He makes using a kind of matte finish thermoplastic. But it's as important as, unless you are a straight up fingerstyle player, it's as important as what pedals you're using or the guitar you use or your amp or whatever, because it's where everything starts from. It's that impact on the string straight away. That's why if you get a gypsy jazz guy, he's not playing using, a 0.4 little thin nylon Dunlop. They're using like 3 mils and they're almost circular because it's part of that sound. That's why shredders like going for little tiny pointy picks like the John Petrucci's and that sort of thing. That's why guys Bonamassa goes so nuts for the Jazz 3 because it's our first point of contact with the string. So I've tried to collect as many as I physically can. That's the Andy James one, or the old Dream Theater.
That's a Petrucci. That is. It's a Flow, I think it is.
Let's see that.
Yeah, they're made from Ultex.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It's a bit big for me because I like that. I mean, your standard Jazz 3's my benchmark, but I've got this Howling Monkey as well, which was donated to me. They're made of a weird material, aren't they? Those ones.
I really like the Tagawa stuff, which is that Howling Monkey stuff's made from Tagawa, which is it's the nut of the ivory palm tree that grows in Ecuador, and it's used in it's a vegetable ivory, so it's used loads in jewelry as an ivory replacement, but it's tougher than bone. So those picks they've got hardliney string noise, loads and loads of power. You can buy them any.
Yeah, it's really smooth. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the harder than bone we have to pay mention to there.
Or we have to accept it because we're not exactly going to test it, are we?
Well, I'll tell you what. If I reach in here into my wee jar of things, that there, which you won't be able to see on the podcast,
is that made from one of your teeth?
That is made from
the skull of
this
my enemies.
For contrast, right? That's Cowbone.
Okay, cool.
That's made by a guy in France. This one is Mammoth Ivory from Siberia.
Do they still have mammoths there?
No, that's another one as well. So the deal with that is because of global warming, a lot of the permafrost is melting out there, and all that stuff that's been buried under the ice is just poking out of the ground. So people are going up and sawing it out.
So is all the gas, and that's the issue with it. But let's not get political. Yeah. We got a couple of comments. Funny one. I've spotted the funniness of that now, haven't I?
Yeah, this one's funny. Wait there, guys. Wait there.
This one's really funny. Lee dared me to ask a question. So, is mayonnaise an instrument?
Sure.
I mean, they make a variety of instruments, don't they? I mean, they're quite premium quality, those mayonnaise. So, yes.
I know if I turn like, the tub upside down and go like it goes.
Oh.
You didn't like that, did you?
But at the end, yeah.
That's the air. That's a little vacuum being created. Ron Pressman said, sorry, Ron. Stevie T can be a goof, but he did a good video that went over the bizarre pick techniques. Really bummed that he didn't do a cover of how good the Jazz 3 Sharp truly is. So they do a Sharp version of the Jazz 3, do they?
There's a lot of different versions of the Jazz 3.
Oh, is there?
Yeah. I mean, the Jazz 3, your classic Jazz 3 is the wee red one like that. That's your wee red nylon jobby there.
They're
1.2
they do the hard
point. But
the
black one, so that material there, the red one, that's just straight nylon.
Yeah.
And then the black one is a material called Stiffo, which is just a hardened nylon.
No,
so then they do
black one as well. So these are different,
they do a prime zone one, Voltex one. Yeah. So the black one is stiffened nylon. It's a little bit harder sounding.
They do black Voltex as well, don't they? They do
a black Voltex version, which is a Petrucci model now. But they do a prime tone series one, which has got oblique bevels on it. So some picks have got this. I don't know if you'll be able to see it there, but basically, see how it's slanted at the front?
Yeah.
So that's slightly for right or left hand use. It's very common in gypsy picks to go through the strings a lot easier because gypsy hand position is different from like how you play an electric or an acoustic. Gypsy players kind of come round almost with like a straight arm and play that way. So they're playing from the elbow, whereas electric players tend to play from the wrist.
God, there's a lot more to this than I thought it was.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
It's like I'm going to be totally straight with you, seeing as I have the opportunity to do so. The majority of people, when I'm talking about the pick thing, even in our trade, right, the majority of people go, "Oh, come on." But the thing is, back in the 60s, when somebody rocked up with more than a fuzz and a wah, some guy would have gone, "Oh, come on, mate, you're going to have 3 pedals on there."
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's exactly the same principle.
You still get that when people don't know about pedals, and like you show them a board like mine.
Oh, it's all your magic buttons and your thing.
Yeah, can you actually play the guitar?
But the thing is that it's unless, like I said earlier on, unless you're unless you're Knopfler or Beck or something, right, and you're not using the pick at all. It's literally like the things, even guys that say to me, "Oh, I'm not interested in this stuff where you're paying a tenner or £5 or 30, 40 quid for a pick," whatever. Will still say, "Oh, I always use these. I always use the Dunlop 73, the yellow ones, because it is important."
Yeah.
And I think it's, obviously mine is a special case because I'm a collector as well, but I don't buy stuff I wouldn't use. So it's kind of like when I started getting into stone stuff and like playing, I got back into playing metal picks and found some really interesting metal pick makers. And it's not my preferred thing, but I can't denounce it. Somebody somewhere, like how many, the 600 or 700 different versions of the Big Muff circuit that there are, somebody somewhere is going, "Do you know what? See that triangle over that ram's head? I'm really into that."
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a little bit more difference to it than that, but I agree. It is crazy because I was just thinking as you were saying that, I was thinking you're a collector of picks, and then I thought, hang on a minute, both of us sitting here listening to you, we've both just picked up a whole like variety of picks within reach. You know, we've just gone, oh yeah, I've got a bunch here. Not like we even planned that. You know, it's
Well, you're really serious, guys. I'm at about 1,500 modern ones. Because it's the modern stuff is what I'm interested in. But vintage collectors, some of the guys I've interviewed, like a guy called Joe Macy, who is he's the collector's collector with picks. He's soared past like about 60,000-70,000, and that's going all the way back to like the sort of late 1900s.
Right,
the pick goes back hundreds of years. You know, back to the quills that they used to use for playing the oud and all that sort of thing. So that's technically, you know, that's what it was. It started off as being the inner quill of a feather, and then slowly developed over time into what we've got. The picks that we use now. This is dangerous
because this is the sort of thing that I'll go, that sounds like a great thing to do.
Thing is, I'm not like for all the collecting thing, and as much as picks can get expensive the same way guitars can. I'm not a snob about it. I think it's like I've met a lot of players, session guys like Aziz Ibrahim uses the Dunlop 50, which to me is like playing my bus ticket. But for him, that's what works for him.
Yeah.
So what's wrong with that, you know?
That's pretty cool.
But I think it's really interesting, and the really fun thing is that we've got quite a lot of makers in the UK, guys like Hawk and Arcanum, and you know. Kelly Nonis and people like that, Tom Winspear. I mean, Tom Winspear was able to, he's done enough with his picks, and he does cables and strings as well, but he was able to do enough to be a main sponsor. He had sponsored one of the stages at TechFest.
Oh, no.
Because he's, you know, all the guys that play Gent stuff, they're all using Winspears and Stone Age and that. So he's geared his equipment towards a certain audience because he's that sort of player. Matt from Stone Age makes these sort of agate efforts. So that's solid stone.
I've got a stone pick that I got a few years ago, but I got it as a free gift because I bought a mate a stone pick one with his name engraved on it for his birthday. And I just got another one as a free gift, and I thought, I'll keep hold of that because I'm tight. And
But honest. I appreciate that.
Huh?
But tight but honest. Which is the best bit.
But it was an interesting one. It wasn't something I'd use because I think mainly because it was bloody expensive, and if I got used to it and thought, I can't play with anything but that.
Well, it's a funny thing, right? Because the cost thing, the two things that come up quite a lot when I talk about this, or when people ask me stuff about it, tends to be, I don't want to spend money on this because it's a pick.
What
if I use it?
It's a throwaway thing, isn't it? Yeah, it's almost seen as a disposable, isn't it?
I've never intentionally thrown away a pick, but I have lost many.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is like when I worked on before I worked where I am now, I was on Denmark Street for 5 years working at Windsors down there, and I spoke to a lot of guys who had left pedal boards on the train, or they'd left the car in a taxi, or anything like that. You can lose. How many cables have you lost at gigs? You can lose any bit of equipment anywhere.
Yeah.
I know the pick is easier to lose because it's small, but at the same time, if you're going to do like, I mean, I'm not talking about going into the silly money, and there are obviously silly money picks out there, but like,
go on, indulge us.
So
let's talk about not a vintage one, but like one that you can buy on the market today.
Yeah.
If you want the most expensive single plectrum you can buy on the market today, is made by Rock Hard Picks, who are a division of a company called GA Aerospace. GA Aerospace make night vision equipment for the military.
Yep.
And the guy that runs the company, Jerry, is he's a big guitar player.
Yeah.
And he has a division called Rock Hard Picks that make steel picks with a carbon diamond coating. Now they're about 20 quid, right? Which is in the pick game is about halfway to expensive.
Yeah.
But they will make you a pick of solid diamond for £7,000.
I mean, that is a lot of money. Yeah.
It's your serious oil chic sort of stuff. I mean, I love it, but I'm not going to drop 7 Gs on it.
That's it. Yeah. You don't want to be.
Stoneworks will do you a pick of reclaimed meteorite or dinosaur bone.
Want that?
I've got like old British florins from the 1920s that have been cut into picks. I've got all sorts of crap. Like, it's. I mean, the ceiling for me is about. It depends what it is. If it's a material like the stone stuff, like the Stone Age picks now, I think are about 30 quid.
Yeah.
But that's a pick you can use for years and years and years and years and years because they don't shatter. I mean, you're talking about 3 or 4 mil of stone.
Yeah.
But the difference it makes to the tone, some things are just better for certain things. Like, I wouldn't play an acoustic with that. But if I was going to play high gain stuff, then that'll give you a much better note separation than other materials will. It's the nature of the material.
That's interesting.
It's the same way if you get Delrin. If you get Delrin like that, that's a Mathas Junior. That's just 2 mil thick of your normal powder coated Delrin. Once you get over about 1.5 mil with Delrin and it's not polished, it gets really, really dark. So if you've got an acoustic that's particularly trebly or something like that, you can use a pick or a fellow Plectrums Gorilla Grip XL or something, which are not expensive. They're injection molded. They're not costing piles of money. It will smooth the top off the guitar and help darken it down a bit. Or if you want to get really bright, use nylon or steel or something.
Okay,
so,
that's interesting. So the nylon picks that we normally use, they're adding. You reckon they're well, not reckon. You telling us that they're adding brightness to like your Les Paul in this.
Well, what it's going to do is because nylon's not an especially heavy material, and things like I did a wee run through my stuff earlier on in preparation for our chat, and that's your Dava pick there, right? The Dava control pick with the wee bendy bit in the middle. Now these are made from nylon. This green one is made from nylon anyway. And what I noticed, putting them all side by side with stuff that I use all the time, irrespective of the thickness, is that what this will do is it's a little toppier. It's slightly dead going into the string, so you don't hear the brah that you would get if you were using.
Yeah.
You don't hear like the sharp brightness you would get if you were playing with graphite or a Dunlop Alltech Sharp like that new Jeff Loomis model or whatever. What it's going to give you is if you look at it as an EQ band, you're going to get a lot of sort of mids up to treble, but not loads of bass.
Yeah.
If you want to get really bassy, you're going into thicker celluloid or, stuff like that. So it's
that's fascinating.
It's just a different thing.
Is the science that the bendier a pick, the more of the energy that's going into it, it will take in the bending of that pick. So less energy that's transferred to the string.
Yeah, I mean it's if you think about it in this sense, this here the Dava is quite bendy, right?
Yep.
So if I go into the string with a bendy pick, then as I'm going through the string, the pick will bend like that, then flick out the other side, and you get that sort of sound. Now, for example,
so the energy is building up as kinetic energy, isn't it? It's building up and then releasing. Okay, yeah.
If you wanted to get like like your sort of Nile Rodgers type chockety thing, right? Then playing with a 2 or 3 mil pick would be completely pointless because the amount of force that the pick gives you, you can't come back the way with the same lightness of touch. Whereas if you have a pick that's completely rigid, the amount of force you have to put in is minimized. So I've had a lot of problems with my wrists over the years because I've got double jointed thumbs.
Okay.
So I used to play like that. And you see it in photographs quite a lot, like when you see a close-up of a guy's hand. And
the viewers can't see your hand?
Yeah, it's like half of your thumb is bending back.
Your thumb's back, right? But if I use a really heavy pick, I don't have to play as hard because the pick's doing all the heavy lifting for you. It's like running the PA louder, so you don't have to sing as hard.
Yeah.
If you look at it in that, and the string doesn't need a lot to get going, so you can play with wee rinky dinky picks like super thin ones. I did an interview with Dave Martone, the Canadian shred guy, last night, and he was saying that the first pick he had was a Dunlop .38, which you can blow on and change the shape of. Like that. But the reason he got that is because he found out your man Eddie Van Halen, when he started out playing, he was using a Dunlop .46, which is really thin. I'm glad that you're doing this practical test.
Yeah.
It's very important. But you get guys going all the way up to really daft thicknesses. To me, it tops out at 9mm. Anything thicker than 9mm just feels really weird. But I've got a friend of mine who works for Anderson, and he won't play anything under 9mm.
Okay.
And he's got one called the Kraken, made by Ricky Lepletre in France, and it is 33mm.
Yeah, there was one
joke big.
There was one on CS guitars, and I think it might have been the Kraken. It was essentially like a rock.
I think it was a BHL one that he had. Because Brock Little at BHL, Brock makes some wicked stuff, man. Like he makes the Hodor, which is this one here. This is made from UMass, which is Altex with glass fibre going through it.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay. So
that's super nice. Really.
So you can get the different cores, a bit like the wands in Harry Potter.
Yeah. Whatever analogy you need to make this work, man.
You're such a nerd, like we're trying to have a level of cool here.
Seriously, though, do the cores make a difference?
Runs a pick blog, man. We're way past the cool thing. But the one thing that I will say, which is something that I've been really very, if I may be serious for a moment, in the words of Storm. One of the things that I found really wonderful about it since I started heavy ripping is the majority of these guys, even the big guys like Alexis Ridio at Iron Age and Vinny at VPix and Eppo Franken and all that, I contacted them to interview them. They were like, "Yeah," because nobody asks.
Okay, yeah, I bet, yeah.
Nearly every guitarist over the last, back to the 1920s and beyond, when D'Andrea standardised the pick shapes in 1922.
Yeah.
Damn near every guitarist has used the pick or still does, and nobody talks about it. And the thing that's really nuts is that it is seen as it's right. We're just above the pick community in terms of cool. We are just above people who talk about cabling in terms of stuff that's sexy.
And I'm totally cool with
strings
as well. Strings are maybe just a little bit more.
Guys should get a little bit string stuff, but again, that is really important.
Yeah, we did a whole podcast on it, and
we did. Yeah,
it was. I remember saying to you, didn't I? I said to him, "I'm not going to have much to say about this," and then we talked for like an hour and a half about it.
Yeah, well, it's just as important as like tension and thickness and the composition of the string. If you're playing flats or rounds, if you're playing half rounds, or if you're playing tapes or anything like that, it's more. I think it's more prescient on the bass because that really can make a massive difference because you're dealing with a much higher massive string, but it matters everywhere.
That's cool.
And the one really cool thing about this, that my favourite thing about it is the fact that the community that's built up around it, which didn't have anywhere to go before, like there just wasn't people, pulling everybody together. The community,
Plectroverse, isn't it?
Yeah, the Plectroverse is easily the most tolerant, supportive part of the musical community I've ever been in.
That's good.
Yeah,
because all makers buy from each other. They all say, "I've started." The guys guys will get in touch with me and say, I've started working with this material and I don't know what I'm doing with it. Who can I talk to? I say, go and talk to this guy. And that guy will say, it's like the pedal community. I can't make this. I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. Go and speak to such and such, and he'll sort you out.
It's so wonderful when I see that every week, and there's
I mean, we
really
talk about it quite a lot, don't we? About the British guys. There's we mentioned Stuart a hell of a lot, but he's one of these guys in the pedal community that has time for anyone.
Yeah.
I
know we were making jokes that he's a cantankerous old git.
Oh, he is.
There is truth to that. But
no,
I'm not saying he's not.
Yeah. Underneath the arsehole, there is a heart of gold. He's an absolute ledge. I did want to pull it back. Actually, you were mentioning
something.
Yeah, I had a beautiful point, and then my mind's just gone completely blank because I saw a flying V.
It's easy done.
Right, let's just spin it. Yeah. So you were saying about how like unsexy the Plectrum talk and all that is. However, we've managed to sustain probably about half hour's worth of like true true interest in this chat, and I think without like meaning to S on your D too hard, you are.
I'm not sure what that means.
Neither am I. I'm glad you said that.
I'm lying. I do know what that means. But
Yeah.
Oh, now I feel stupid.
Lee's an innocent young chap.
Thanks, John.
A lot of that comes down to your enthusiasm for the topic and your delivery of the information as well.
It's passion, isn't it?
Oh, I appreciate it, man. The thing is, like, it's very kind of you to say, and I do try and do that. But I think, like, one of the things that I've always, and this is not to be needlessly dramatic, it's just a statement of fact. I spent a long time, most of my life, the 25 years I've been playing and before, being interested in stuff that nobody cares about.
Yeah.
And I do care about this, and I talk to all the people that, and I'm not talking about, like, I get an email from a guy every now and again. Like, I talk to most of the people in the community every day.
Yeah.
About, you know, their personal lives, or I'm doing this thing with this thing and check it out and blah blah. And it's like any walk of life. It's very easy for us, and it's something that I was going to mention, which I think is on the decline now. At least I hope it is. Used to be a terrible trend in the guitar community, particularly the guitar community, to be derisive towards players online. So, like the fake guitarist thing, right? Some guy puts up a video, he's playing, and the comments you get are, how come he's doing this? Why is he using that amp? Missing the point of the exercise. It's very, very easy for us to tear each other down.
Yeah, people
nobody gets
so bloody rude.
I'm sick of saying this, but it's as true now as it was when I started playing back in the 90s. Nobody, whether they're playing covers or wedding music or originals, nobody gets into the music game because they're all right. It's somewhere for us to go and be a version of ourselves that we aspire to be, that we hope to be to other people. We spend all this time crafting these things we want to say to put them across, whether it's the heaviest thing, or we're doing glitchy lo-fi, you know, vaporwave or anything like that. It's a part of ourselves that we're putting across. And for somebody to take the time to admonish that for no other reason than they just want to be a smart dick online. It's not something that I would go, oh God, what a bellend that guy is, whatever. It's just something that I understand where it's coming from, but I think it's a shame, and I wonder what
that's all good and well.
Particularly,
I agree.
Would be like if we, you know.
agree 99.9% of what you just said. Apart from today, I watched that Puddle and Mud cover, of the Nirvana song, and it was so awful. Mate. Oh my god!
But that guy, and hey, we've all seen that, and I'm not pretending for a second. It's not like a bad time. That's like it's a bad time. But at the same time, that bloke, the reason why he's like that, looking into a little bit of his life, I'm not saying the guy's blameless, but he's had a bit of a bumpy old sheet, as your man Wes, whatever, is it Wes Scantlin, I want to say?
No idea.
He's had multiple arrests for being off his head and being thrown out of airports and being bankrupt and broke, and he's just the guy. He's got hard. Yeah, there's hardly any of that guy left. I mean, we're not in Scott Weiland territory here, but he's not had an easy road, and however much of it he's brought on himself.
Yeah, in
terms of that is kind of not irrelevant, but what you're seeing in that video is the end result of all of that.
Yeah,
and the comment section, as entertaining as it can be, of people going, "Oh, who's this donkey?" and sounds like he's trapped inside or out of something. That's all fine, whatever. But it's something.
I didn't know anything about that, to be honest, and I've not read through the comments on it. I just watched it maybe a couple of hours ago because I tried to avoid watching it, but then I got really bored, and it happened to come up on my feed, and I was just I thought people were just being rude for the sake of being rude, and I have to deal with this every day on Pedalboard to Doom. We've got rules against it. You can't be rude against individuals or companies, and if you are, you're out. Simple. And I thought people were just being one of those people, and then I kind of listened to it and thought, oh my god, what is this?
Yeah, you are just
it's I did speak to a couple of people who do similar moderation stuff to yourself. I was talking to Matt at Stone Age about things that Brian that runs Modern Guitarist.
Okay.
And he said that he's not against people having discussions.
Yeah.
But if someone's just going out of their way to be unkind, then they just get papped.
Yeah.
Which I think is totally fair. If you're gonna cross the line, if you're gonna go out of your way to be that unkind to somebody, you have to accept the repercussions of that.
Yeah, we've been doing it for so long now. We can, that there's certain topics that pop up, and they cause a big argument. And I had this a couple of days ago about I shared about Pink Floyd, who are sharing a new they're sharing a gig. I can't say this. They're sharing a gig every Friday, and it's one of my most shared posts. I've got over 200 shares on it. So it's really, really popular. And then someone put up about the anti-Semitism of that's surrounded what's his name? The bass.
Roger Waters.
Yeah, Roger Waters. And I had to take the post down, and I felt bad about it because the guy was coming from a good place. I just knew it was going to kick off a whole shitstorm, and you just don't want that.
Of it. Yeah. The problem is, it's not to get too off topic here, but we're talking about the same sort of thing. The problem with internet culture is that, and it's why I don't use Twitter, although Heavy Repping has a Twitter.
Yeah, so it's Pedalboard's the same, and I don't use it either. It's crap.
It's just posts from Instagram because I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to get into people, and it's the one thing I was really worried about when I started doing YouTube. Which is that it's very cool or perceived as cool to go on the comments section and say something mean.
The only person who thinks it's cool is the commenter.
Yeah, but I have to say, touch wood, so far I've had a couple of people giving me a bad time. But in those instances, I've talked to them.
Yeah, I do a lot of that,
and then it's a case of saying, I don't go in with this sort of, oh, you think you're the big man, because it's just a waste of time.
Yeah.
But you do say, like, I had a guy going off about it's like, I keep thinking about Ryan Burke and the way that Ryan Burke handles trolls, which is, somebody says, like, oh, you can't play. He's like, yeah, no.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's good that you've noticed that. Yeah.
Thanks for that.
But if somebody does that, then it's the best course of action really is to say, okay,
yeah,
because it's not something you can stop, and I don't want to. I think I've only ever removed a comment once from heavy ripping, and the reason was because it was a kid who's a regular in the guitar shop, and he was just shooting his mouth off about nothing, because he doesn't get the fact, like, he's like 16, whatever, and he doesn't get the fact that it's like a kind of not a business account, but it's, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's professional.
It's a professional thing, and that's why in videos and reviews and all that sort of stuff, I never crap on anybody's work.
Yeah, cool.
No, you shouldn't. Definitely shouldn't. And yeah, if you've got nothing good to say, you don't say anything at all.
Even when something is actually bad, and I have played picks that are they're just not good. They don't work. You know.
Yeah.
There's some good to be found in it somewhere. And it's not for, I'm only one guy with one opinion. So I always take all the stuff that I get down to the shop and say, there's a whole bunch of different players in there, and I say, right, you guys all test this. No preface. Here's a thing.
Yeah.
Tell me what you think. And I know that guys have different skin types, so they're not going to get on with certain grips. I know that certain guys prefer, one of our techs is absolutely wedded to those Didario Nil Pros, which are their little green nylon Jazz 3 equivalents. That's his thing. And then I took down some of the Hawk stuff, and I gave him a Hawk Ivoroid Jazz 3 to try.
Yeah.
And he tried it out, and he was like, oh, okay. And then he went back to the pick he'd been using and went, oh. Where's all my power gone? And I said, well, it's not the same material. So now he has a problem.
Yeah, he was so happy before you did that.
Yeah. Well, it's like anything, man. Like, you get your guitar that you're really, really into, and everybody said, "Oh, I really, really like this, but I have this because of this, and I have this because of this." And that's why I think the custom building thing is wicked. I finally got a guitar. The guitar I use in all my videos, the Odessa.
Yeah,
I got that made like a couple of years ago, and it's not. I didn't want something that was a Swiss Army knife. I wanted something that did what I wanted it to do.
Yeah.
So that's what I use it for. There's lots of stuff it can't do, like single coil sounds, but I don't use them. So.
Oh man, that's all I ever use, pretty much.
Single coils.
Yeah. I am a.
Oh, they've got their place. I've got a Strat over there, and I've got a baritone Odessa coming that's got a P90 in the neck, and.
I mean, that's a great choice. I do like a P90. But yeah,
Mini humbucker in the bridge, man. Mini humbucker's the great unsung pickup of the guitar world.
I'm really not keen on mixing pickup types. So it's something that bothered me so much. She sold my old Mexican Strat. Lucky enough, I've got a Japanese one anyway. But it's there.
And that's only it had a single coil sized humbucker, didn't it?
It did. It was the little 59. Seymour Duncan.
Yeah.
Nice pickup.
So barely even a difference, and
I just don't like. I like a guitar to do what it does, which is kind of what you were saying. But that said, when my Les Paul here, I got the, I had the.
Oh, you got taps in it.
Yeah, I had the Jimmy Page stuff done to it, so everything taps on it, and I've had it set up so in the middle position it's out of phase as standard. And then I have to tap it out of that. And I've got the blow switch on it as well. So that's pretty cool. I really like it like that. But I wanted that so I could play. If I'm gigging, I can use that as my main guitar and get through loads of different songs and not have to keep swapping guitars out, But what the nice thing about that is I had some guys who were really cool, really good at with pickups do the job. and it came back. They rewound some of the pickups, well, both of them actually, and they sounded better than they did before in humbucker mode as well.
Yeah.
So I was really, really pleased with that. Because sometimes when you start tapping things, it doesn't sound quite the same after.
Well, it's that whole thing we're in that water. It's that whole like 4 conductor, 2 conductor thing, and I think the 2 conductor stuff, when you have a humbucker that's just totally straight with no taps.
Yeah.
This is not, bear in mind, this is not a better or worse thing. This is just a thing. But the tapped humbuckers don't hit. There's something missing in the hardness of it. Yeah. I'm not saying you can't get a meaty sound out of it. That would be an utterly stupid thing to say. But like having a 2 conductor humbucker, it's just got a bit more. The fist is a little bit more closed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. There was something weird about this particular Les Paul when it came to me. It had 350 pots in it. So when I changed them, I think it was the STS ones. We put the 500k pots in as well, and different caps in there and everything. The whole lot was redone, and it just sounds so much more open compared to what it did. It sounded really compressed before.
Yeah,
I know it just sounds really wide open, really punchy, really powerful. I love it. So I don't know what happened to it, but as it stands at the moment, I'm really happy with it. So I'm not going to mess with it.
No, the pots do make a huge difference. It's like having good. Like I remember switching out on a pedal point of view. I used to use those Fender because you just get whatever's in the shop you're working in. You know what I mean? And I used those Fender patch leads.
Oh, yeah,
and then the big, the ones with the extra long coax that you can't bend into anything, and it's just fighting you every step of the way. And then I got a bunch of. We started carrying EBS patches, like wee flat ones.
Bit like that.
Yeah, exactly like that.
Yeah, you ain't doing much with that.
Then
yeah,
I started using these.
Oh yeah.
Which, the flat dish EBS ones with the wee lightning bolts in the back, and it was more like it wasn't one of those I've switched from an AC30 to Tone Master things, but everything just kind of went and just opened up more. And I know I haven't tried any solderless stuff like the sort of
pedal patch.
Make your own. So yeah, the pedal patch ones.
These are pedal patch ones actually. They're shit hot. They really are really good.
Yeah. Well, your man, do you guys know Andy Burkett from Break the Machine?
Oh yeah.
So I used to write all of Andy's articles for his website.
Okay.
And he's been telling me about switching out my leads for the ones that he does. Not the ones that he does, but the guy that he gets his from.
Practical patch, is it? No.
Not Phil.
It's pedal patch.
Yeah, Phil.
You know the guy I'm talking about. Yeah. But he's been telling me about it, and I should switch him out and all that. But Andy doesn't use a pick, so.
So you can't trust him.
It's not like a deal breaker thing, but
he's a nice bloke. He's Andy, actually. He's a good bloke.
He's a lovely guy, and it was really cool and yourself as well. It was really cool to meet him at the Birmingham show.
Indeed.
That was the first time I'd met him in person. I'd only ever spoken to him over the phone and by email, so it was really cool to meet him. And he gave me a copy of Sun's Life Metal.
Oh man, I was listening to that when they brought out the pedal. I thought I should have a listen to this, and it was really good.
Yeah,
I was really happy with it.
Genuinely, I started listening. It was because of Sun that I got into. So a bit of a weird way around, but it's because of Sun I got into black metal, and of which I remain a fan.
But I went to see Sun aren't black metal though, are they?
No, but it's the sound of it, like how, like the really really early stuff like the Grim Robe demos and Double O Void, but everything's just cold and kind of absent sounding.
Do you think that? Because I feel it gives me different vibes. I know we're completely going off topic now, but I get it almost sounds to me, when you listen to Gregorian chants, I think I might be saying that wrong,
Yeah.
Gregorian chants, but it's that kind of warm feeling. It's like that, but the metal version of it.
Well, when they did, I agree with you to a
I
certain
can hear
extent.
you laughing.
I would say that at this point in time, like from when they did stuff like Oracle and Dom Kirk and onwards, and the record they did with Boris,
Not Johnson.
I think there's a lot to be said for that. But their really, really early stuff, which is just guitars and nothing. It's not so much the warmth of the sound, it's more like this. It's got a kind of eerie quality to it.
Okay.
And when I saw them, I seen them a couple of times, and the first time I saw them it was in Oranmore, which is a converted church in Glasgow.
Spot on.
That was dead on the money. It was loud, man. I'm not gonna lie, but because it's in a big stone structure, that absorbed a lot of the sound.
They do say that they're bloody loud. A lot of people.
The second time, mate, I've seen some stuff, right? The second time, Jesus, like I'm trying to think what it was. The best way I can describe it. It was like my mate Gav was there. He used to work for Lynn Audio, and he had like shotgun ear. He's a big Mogwai fan, and he had the big shotgun ear defender things on with plugs underneath. And 10 minutes in, he just took them off, and he looked around at me and went, "Well, 2 days I couldn't hear. 2 days." And it was like bone splinteringly, vaporizingly loud.
Oh,
they ran 4 Model Ts at full chat each, and 4 SVT 400s each for the guitar.
They are not going to be able to hear past their 50s. There's just no way.
Not a bean. And the thing, they had this is post Black One, so they'd had Attila from Mayhem doing the vocals for them, and then he went back to Mayhem, and they got Scott Connor from Zaster to do the vocals for them on that tour.
Honestly, because I don't know these people, I thought you meant that they had a teller from the front, the people who like you buy the ticket from. I was like, they did what?
Yeah.
Right, mate, would you mind singing for us tonight?
Yeah,
Jam front desk on vocals. Yeah, just
make it up. Yeah, it's inaudible anyway. So.
No one could fucking hear you. Don't worry, just crack on with it.
It's ridiculous. I think partly because the room was like, it was at the ABC2 in Glasgow. So normally when you go into a venue, right, it's like this, and you've got you get your stage at one end of a rectangular room, and then it kind of the room's longer than it is wide. The ABC2 is the opposite of that.
Okay.
So imagine the room is like this shape, like a long rectangle.
Yeah.
The stage is side facing.
Yeah, on one of the long sides of the rectangle.
Yeah, and there was nowhere for the sound to go. It was just going back and forth like that.
Yeah.
There was no way of getting around it. Like, honest to God.
You know what you've signed up for. Now you've got to deal with it until it's finished. It's like a roller coaster.
Yeah, you are.
It was like an hour and a half. An hour and a half of that. And I remember going out to the Chippy. It was in Sucky Hall Street in Glasgow. I remember coming out of the venue and going across the road to the Chippy. And everyone who'd been at the gig was just going, oh, pointing at the board. There's nobody
Please. Kebab
and the guy
kebab and
yeah, it was stupid. I'd still say if you get, irrespective of anything, if you get a chance to go and see him, just go and do it, because it's like nothing else. There's no drums, there's no like tunes or that. It's more of a ritual than a gig.
Yeah.
And it's not. I wouldn't pretend it's for everybody. And I like them a lot in my 20s, but at the same time, there's nothing else like that. It's like being disintegrated.
You'll have to send me some links to some of the albums that you think stand out, because so far I've only listened to the last one, or the one that was related to it. So we called it Life something, didn't we?
Life Metal.
Life Metal, yeah.
Yeah.
So
the best thing to listen to is go and listen to Black One.
Black One.
Black One or White One. White One, there's the first track is like this big long poem by Julian Cope.
Okay.
It's called My Wall, and it's the wonderful experience. It's great.
Cool. That's really cool.
One for the office party.
We've been going for some time now, and I wanted to see if we could answer at least those questions that people came up with, because they did go to the to the lengths of asking them. Let me just see if I'll pull them up on my phone. But do you guys mind if we do that? Is that cool?
Oh, go ahead, man.
Yeah.
Cool. Right. Okay. Speak amongst yourselves while I find
Of
us.
course.
All right. Okay. So, where is Watford? Said Andrew Bimpson. Watford is just below the north. Okay. Is there any sense in using a switcher to select between 4 mini boards because you have too much time on your hands and watch too much 60 cycle hum? Yes.
Sure.
Next question.
Yeah, I think that's a resounding yes.
If you can.
Yeah, if you can, why not?
When in Rome.
What is the best looper to Velcro to the front of your board to keep hobbits from asking you how you tap dance to reach the pedal? So what is the best looper switcher? There's two ways of looking at this, in my opinion. You've got the ESA and the G2. Right? If you want to be able to do parallel switching, which is something I wanted, then go for the ES8. If you want a few more loops, so you want to be able to have up to 10 loops, go for the G2. There is, from what I've heard from people, there is marginally, speak for me, Adam. Marginally,
Margarine.
Better
Whatever
tone through
margarine.
marginally better tone through the G2, but it's not really noticeable.
It's not great either way. I thought you was going to say.
No, they're both fantastic. They are absolutely bang on switches. You could do order switching with the G2, MIDI on both of them. The MIDI apparently is very easy to use on the G2 and can be a little bit confusing at first on the ES8, but there's a lot of more menus on the ES8. But there's no like screen on the G2, so they're the two best ones at the sort of price point that you want to be going at. Really, I think anything past that, if you're a pro, cool. If you're not, then there's no point.
EHX Switchblade. There we go.
That's pointless.
It's
crap. It's a waste of time. Sorry, it's like one of those, just like the long ones that you can get from Bright Onions and these sort of things. It's like it's like one of them dressed up as a G2, and they are great for what they do, but you can get them a lot cheaper and taking up a lot less space.
What than the Switchblade? The Switchblade is literally just an 8-bit way. I'm just sticking the pin.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant the what is? Do you know the one that looks like the G2 that EXH brought out?
I do not know. The Loop Commander or something like that.
That's it. Yeah. I assume that's it. But yeah, that was crap.
Okay. It's wonderful that we put that to bed. Have we got any more questions here, or we wrap it up?
Yeah, we do. What is the airspeed velocity of a swallow? It does depend on whether it's carrying a coconut or not. What is the speed?
High caliber of question tonight. I have to say.
I know, they're great, aren't they? A lot of these are our friends taking the piss. Richard Norton, who from Alder and Ash, who makes my wonderful pedal board, and many like it. What is the speed of dark? Should I trust the next fart? Why can't they unify the Hubble standard based on Type 1A supernova and other standard candles?
Right. So from the top, should I? What's the speed of dark?
Well, there's no speed of dark. The speed of light is the measurement. Dark is the absence of.
I'm going to go with 2 pi r squared. So,
That's 54 meters per second.
I would say 42, to be honest.
Well, there we go. So that's that. Should I trust the next part? It's always a gamble. There are no winners.
If you are concerned, then no.
If you're asking this question, it's already too
The
late.
question has arisen. It is too late.
Yeah.
Make your way to the nearest exit.
Okay, do you want me to ask this one again about the Hubble standard based type on Type 1a supernova or other standard candles? So why can't they unify the Hubble standard based on Type 1a supernova and other standard candles? Bit of a swallow, African or European swallow. Again, it does totally depend on the type of coconut they are carrying at the time.
Indeed, and that is a wonderful place for which to wrap up this rather. Oh, I've just hit the mic, and you'll get like a springy reverb sound through that on the podcast. Where am I? What am I doing? Before we do our full wrap up, we've got our Patreon shout outs. We've had a couple in the chat today. We've had Doug Christ, we've had Andrea Bimson. So those are 2 of our patronisers. We've got Adam Yeomans, who, if you listen to a podcast tomorrow, you will be able to hear him in the podcast because he came on for a little chat.
Can I jump in and say I'm really looking forward to listening to that after meeting Adam and talking to him about pedals and that sort of thing? I'm really quite interested to see what he comes out with on that.
Yeah, I mean, as I was editing the podcast, I got 5 minutes in, and there were 4 pretty big things because I WhatsApped him at the time. If I had the chance, I'd go back through the WhatsApp and tell you those 4 points. But we've talked so much since about his chef tone stuff that I wouldn't be able to find it. But it's absolutely hilarious. Within the first 5 minutes, there is like at least a handful of quotable moments. So yes, do listen to it. So I was doing the Patreons here, and you've thrown me off my stride.
Sorry.
So we've got Andrew Bimson. We've got Adam Yeomans. We've got Doug Christ. We've got John Richardson of Everything Joseph fame. We've got Max John Gibbons of the YMAG podcast. Go listen to that if you haven't already. With Marcus Deluxe as well. He's also
He's a dude. They're both
indeed.
It's positive rather than just being men.
Mm-hmm.
Qualifier.
And our final patroniser is Mr. Hugh G. Rection. I think it might be a pseudonym. So if you want to get your name read,
you say that every week, and if it's not, you're going to be in for it.
Well, yeah. Get an angry letter from Hugh G. Rection.
I've had to put up with this all my life.
Yeah, I don't want an angry Hugh G. Rection heading my way, so I do apologise. Yeah, for as little as $2 a month, you can get your name read out on the podcast as well. Head over to patreon.com/frettalk, and you can find out the tiers and all of the awesome stuff that you get with that. John Tron, do you want to do some heavy repping right now of your stuff?
I would love to. Thank you very much. Firstly, I just want to say thanks very much for having me on. Genuinely very kind of you. And I've thoroughly enjoyed myself. So thank you. If you want to find out anything about the Plectraverse and heavy repping as a whole, you can go to heavyrepping.com, where there's interviews with the makers and artists and science behind the picks and everything else. You can follow me on Instagram at heavyrepping, and I post every single day, whether it's a video or just pictures of the pics or whatever. And if you get any questions at all, please do feel free to hit me up. I'm more than happy to answer questions or send you to the person that can answer the question. So thanks very much for having me on.
Indeed.
It was a blast.
I've got to say, like being from the outside of heavy ripping, when I first found out about it, I thought there is no way that I'm going to give a shit about this.
Very
These
blatant.
are. I was very much one of those people. Oh, it's a Plectrum. Your stuff has made me give a shit, which is amazing. So thank you for that. You've turned my head onto the importance of Plectrums and the Plectraverse. So hats off to you.
Oh, thank you very much, mate. It has not been a waste of life.
Indeed, yep. It'll be on your headstone. That will. So if you want to catch us online, I mean we're pretty much live in whatever groups you need to be part of right now. So there was Pedalboards of Doom, the Fret Talk podcast. The Pedalboards of Doom has got its own page now, has it?
It always has. That's how I comment on the group with the Pedalboards of Doom name. You are actually a member of the page. You should know this.
Yeah. Okay.
I have something I want to shout out quickly, which is I want to say thank you for Tonepedia for helping us with sponsoring us, so we can do these streams off to everyone else, all the different pages and whatnot.
Yeah, I would like to give a virtual high five to Tonepedia. On the podcast, this will sound awesome. You've just done exactly what I was going to do. Live, I mean, it ruins the illusion, but here we go. There we go.
Okay.
Perfect.
And I want to let you know of a new feature they've added this week because it's pretty cool. It's something we've had loads of requests about, and we've worked really, really hard on it. And now finally we released it this week. You can now share your favourite players. So if you get like a group of pedals together that you want and you think, oh, these sound wicked, you can now share it with a little share button we've put on there, which doesn't sound like much, but it's been a lot of work because the website is so complicated. So now that's all up and running. And if you have any issues with it, let me know ASAP so we can get it all sorted. But we have tested it thoroughly. So yeah, that's really, really cool. And we also did the Gojira octave generator today.
Gojira. Oh dear.
I love that pedal. I use it all the time. It's been a mainstay on my board for ages, and we've just released it this week. So go and check it out. It's really, really cool.
Lovely. I think I haven't repped myself yet, so it's Budget Pedal Chap. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all that good stuff. And Lee, you are Pedalboards of Doom at pretty much anything that moves.
Yeah, you could say that.
So let's wrap this podcast up officially now. So
well, let's wrap up the live cast, but listeners, you're going to get the extra bonus, hopefully, of a bad joke.
Indeed.
And if you want to hear that bad joke, come and listen to our podcast later on, viewers.
That's it, yeah. Don't just skip to the end. No, that's cheating.
Yeah, you have to listen to the whole hour and a half again.
That's it, yeah. Right, so from myself, Mr. Budget Pedal Shop, that is me. From Lee, who will never let me just end a fucking podcast. And from our special guest, Mr. John Davidson of Heavy Repping. Say bye, John.
Rep hard, rep heavy, and I shall see you soon. Thanks for having me.
I mean, that's a little more than I asked for, but yeah, I'll allow it.
Do it again.
Just this one.
Thank you.
Yeah. We'll do a retake of it. So, yeah, from us all, it will be a tatty bye and good night for this week. Ta-da, a bit.
Bye-bye, all. Bye.
Bye. Dun, 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 dun.